What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Real Word Podcast, a place where real thoughts, real ideas, and real words come to life. I'm your host, Drew, coming from San Diego, California. Thank you for stopping by, tuning in, checking out the channel. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit up the links down below. And now we can get into the episode. It is Friday, November 13th. Friday the 13th, 2020. Welcome in. It is around 7:30 in the morning. Crazy that we get a Friday the 13th here in 2020, right? It's like, what can go wrong today? Got my Black Rifle coffee here. Shout out to Black Rifle Coffee Company. This is the Murdered Out blend. Their darkest roast, if I'm not mistaken. Really good. Today I did put a little almond milk and sugar in it. I know they'd probably be a little mad, but you know, sometimes you gotta do that. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you do. But I like it either way. Black, straight up, or with a little milk, little sugar. Almond milk though, you know? Gotta do that. So what's going on? Monday, I did not do an episode. There was some personal stuff going on, and I just kind of had to re-navigate what I was going to do. And it just didn't work out on Monday, but I'm back. I'm here, ready to get this thing going, get it started, get it up and running. And yeah, what else? I'm going to recap the No World Order podcast that we did yesterday. Go check out at _ No World Order podcast on Instagram. You can check out the IGTV for our latest episode. It was a good one. It was a fun one. I was a little drained. I had a headache yesterday, and we'll kind of get into a little bit of that. But it was still a good episode. We just went over, more of this election stuff going on. Read from a couple of articles, and just showing the contrast between the mainstream and, what's really going on in the news with all of these claims of voter fraud and things like that, So we cover all of that. I thought it was pretty interesting. And then right away, Instagram put a little notice under the video. So that was pretty funny. I thought that was pretty interesting. Talk a little bit about mushrooms. I'll just say I did mushrooms for the first time on Wednesday, but then we'll also read an article. Get into a little bit of the UFC stuff. I believe there's a UFC card going on Saturday. We'll talk a little bit about that. Then we'll get into more Trump stuff. More Trump and this legal battle and what all is kind of going on. It should be interesting. But yeah, let's just get into it. Where should I start? I guess, yeah, so Monday, there was just some personal things going on between the family. Just kind of between, I don't know. Kind of gonna hold off on that. But yeah, there was just some personal stuff. Nothing too crazy or anything. Nothing too serious. But just a little, flare up between me and my brother or whatever. And yeah, it just kind of messed with me. And I just wasn't really in the mood or able, I didn't know what to do on Monday, honestly. I was just lost, confused, frustrated, upset, angry, just all sorts of things, but it came out of a place where it's I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to, make him feel a certain way. So, but with our conversation, he made me feel a certain way, It made me feel like I couldn't do this and put restrictions on me and all this stuff. And I just wasn't feeling it. And yeah, it just kind of led to kind of an argument. And I mean, we just see things so differently lately. especially this last year. We just disagree with kind of everything. We're like on opposite sides of everything, and it just makes it frustrating because I don't understand how, two people can see things so differently. So I don't know. It's just weird, but I'm not gonna let him kind of dictate what I do and don't do. That was kind of the problem. I felt like he wanted to silence me, censor me, whatever. But I guess there's just gonna be certain things that I won't be talking about, I guess. So that's where I'm at. That's kind of why I didn't do an episode on Monday. There was just kind of a lot going on in my head. Didn't really know how to navigate through it. But it is what it is. We kind of we're here now, and we're gonna just make do with what we can. So that's where I'm at. And yeah. So yesterday, Zach came by, like I was saying, and we did another episode of the No World Order podcast. Again, you can check that out at the _ No World Order podcast on Instagram. Please go give that a follow. Leave a comment on the video. And yeah, join us in the discussion. I think it's a good way to have conversation. We actually got a handful of live viewers in yesterday, which is pretty cool. I thought that was nice. But yeah, go watch the video, go run up that count, and the audio should be uploaded to YouTube later on today. I do have some things going on in just a little while, like around 10. I gotta go do something, but I should be back in time to get the video uploaded and all of that. This one might even be a little bit delayed just because I have to go somewhere for a couple of hours, but we'll make it work. We'll figure it out. This is never a consistent upload time, just due to who knows what. Sometimes, it's just sometimes it's the computer, sometimes it's the phone, sometimes it varies on what hinders the upload. And I usually get it up though, I usually am able to figure it out and get it going, but sometimes it just takes longer than other times. But we shall get those up today. But go check out the No World Order podcast Instagram and check out the IGTV. Like I was saying, we went over some of this election stuff. We kind of gave our predictions for what we think is going to happen over these coming weeks. And yeah, we'll get into more of that in just a little bit. But like I was just mentioning as well, I did mushrooms for the first time. I did that on Wednesday afternoon. We'll get into the whole trip, I think, on Tuesday morning toke. So tune into that if you want the full story. But it was good, man. It was a good time. I really enjoyed it. I can understand why people would do it frequently. And I can understand why people would only do it, 2 times a year or something like that to get a cleanse and kind of release. Because it was pretty emotional. Filled with ups and downs. And I guess that's why they kind of call it a trip, man. Because you just go all over the place with it in your own head. But like I said, we'll kind of hold off on the entire story until Tuesday. I think that's more of a fitting place to kind of share that story. And plus, it's not like I don't remember it all, but I think I should probably write down more of what happened and just kind of have it all concise and written in some note form, and that way I can kind of go over it that way. Because just thinking about it is like, oh, we did this, and it'd be kind of jumping all over the place in the timeline, and I just kind of want to lay it out and explain it, how it happened and how it was. But I thought it was really good, and yesterday, because because of the shrooms, I'm assuming, I looked it up, that some people do get like a shroom hangover. And I woke up with an extreme headache, and woke up around like 4:30 in the morning or something like that, and I just could not fall back asleep. My head was just pounding, and so that wasn't fun, and it stayed with me all day yesterday. Didn't eat much, but we did eat. We had a good salad, leftover pizza, and but other than that, I was not really able to eat much. Did get some fluids in me, and yeah, but I woke up this morning, headache was gone, and I feel great. I will say, like, I did feel really good yesterday as well, the day after the trip, except just the headache. But I feel more clear-headed and much more light about things, and pretty interesting. And I kind of wanted to read this article about shrooms and depression, because I've struggled with depression for a long time. I've been hearing this about mushrooms for a while, For me, I've wanted to do shrooms for a long time. It's just I've never really had anybody that I've trusted that I could get them from. I do have like an eighth of like regular mushrooms here with me, but I've just never done them because when my dad did them, he ate the whole eighth. Well, maybe he didn't eat the whole eighth. Well, no, he did. I think so. I think they had 2/8 when he did it with his brother. And he didn't really feel it. He didn't really get a good experience of what mushrooms should be. But when we did it, we had it in this chocolate bar, and it was 8 squares of chocolate bar, and each square was a gram, and I took 4.5 grams. So it was pretty good, man. I really felt it. But I've been hearing about this mushrooms curing like anxiety, depression, and those types of things for a while now. So like I said, I just haven't really found anything that I've trusted until now. And I was really happy with how it happened and how it went down. So this is from Forbes, and it was just from yesterday, November 10th, 2020, or 2 days ago now, 3 days ago. Time is just an illusion, man. More evidence, magic mushrooms ingredient may help treat depression, right in time for legalization. Magic mushrooms may be making headway in medicine, as voters in Oregon and DC opt to decriminalize psilocybin, magic mushroom. There is growing evidence that the active compound in magic or hallucinogenic mushrooms might benefit individuals with moderate to severe depression, at least when used alongside psychotherapy under a doctor's supervision. It should be interesting for me then, right? Quote, the findings that we have in our study, we believe, are related to the fact that it was in a controlled setting where we have trained professionals, explained Alan Davis, a psychologist, social work researcher at Ohio State University, and adjunct assistant professor at Johns Hopkins University Center for Psychedelic and Conscientious Research. Quote, we certainly would not suggest that someone go out and take this on their own, he added. However, there are currently multi-site trials going on in the US and Europe testing this in phase 2 and phase 3 trials in order to hopefully garner FDA approval in the next couple of years. Davis and his colleagues published findings from a small phase 2 clinical trial in psilocybin assisted therapy in the journal JAMA Psychiatry in early November. There, they reported a steep decline in symptoms in 24 individuals with major depressive disorder who received 11 hours of supportive psychotherapy on average, along with 2 doses of synthetic psilocybin, downed with water in gel capsule form. To enroll in the trial, individuals could not be taking other antidepressant medications at the time. I'd be perfect for this study, man. Charles Reynolds III, a geriatric psychiatry expert and distinguished professor of psychiatry emeritus at University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine, who was not involved in the study but penned a related JAMA, that's a JAMA, psychiatry editorial, credited the team with doing, quote, a nice rigorous job in the design of the study and in documenting both its positive effects but also potentially negative effects. 1 week after treatment, the team saw a clinically meaningful dip in depression symptoms in 67% of the participants using a standard depression assessment method called the Grid-Hamilton Depression Rating Score, and 14 individuals appeared to be in remission. 4 weeks out from the treatment, more than half of the participants were in remission and 71% had significant response to the treatment. When it came to potential side effects, some patients had headaches the evening of or morning after. Me. David noted, adding that temporary anxiety can turn up during psilocybin sessions, but does not seem to last or require treatment. The results are encouraging since a subset of individuals with major depressive disorder do not respond to available treatment options such as selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, SSRI treatment, ketamine, or psychotherapy alone, or struggle to find a treatment that's the right fit. Depression is one of the most prevalent and debilitating conditions globally, and the current medications approved for depression and psychotherapy use for depression are lacking in adherence and efficiency, Davis said. They don't work for everyone. The study is not the first to find a potential psychiatric benefit for treatments that include psilocybin. Results from studies alone in the past few years suggest that hallucinogenic compound might benefit individuals with difficult to treat depression or depression symptoms that arise after cancer diagnosis. We first tested psilocybin to see whether it had an antidepressant effect in 2016 in a published study of people with life-threatening illness like cancer. And what we found was that among the group of people with cancer who had subsequently become depressed because of the cancer diagnosis, that reduced their depression. But there's much more to the proposed treatment than a mouthful of microdose of magic mushrooms. Investigators tested 2 sequential doses of psilocybin in major depressive disorder patients ranging from age 21 to 75 who were randomized to start the psilocybin-assisted therapy immediately or after a 2-month delay. The trial took place in an outpatient setting, which excluded very severe cases with psychotic disorder, suicide attempts, or hospitalization. And there's more to it, but we will leave it there. I just thought, that was kind of interesting seeing that article pop up right after I do my trip, and just reading that, I feel like, it's no wonder why it's, illegal and all of that. Like, I can understand that from a pharmaceutical perspective because it helped me, honestly. I'm not gonna lie, it helped me, and I feel really good these last couple of days. And the thing that I liked about it is, I had the headache, so maybe I need to prepare a little bit more. Just be prepared for the serotonin to be just wiped out, and have a lot of vitamin C and that kind of stuff to kind of replenish myself, and maybe the headache will go away or not be there the next time. But that was the only thing that was a bummer about it, is my headache yesterday was just intense and it just was not going away. But other than that, it was a great time. And like I said, I feel a lot more light yesterday and today. Pretty clear-headed, I would say. I'm definitely going to be looking forward to doing it again. I don't know if I'll do it again soon or if I'll wait another 4 to 6 months or something like that. I don't know. I really don't know, but I do think it'll be a part of my life now going forward. As long as, if I could keep in touch, or if I can, get that chocolate bar again, or from my understanding, they also have these gummies. This person makes gummies. I'm not going to say the brand. I'm not going to put them on blast like that because I don't want anybody getting in trouble. But it's a it was a great chocolate bar, and man, it was really good. So, like I said, we'll kind of go over the whole trip on Tuesday, take some notes, lay it all out, and I think that'll be a good time. So let's move on. What else did we have to get to? We are going to get into some UFC stuff. It says how UFC short notice call pulled Paul Felder from the brink of retirement. This is from Bleacher Report. All right. Paul Felder was midway through a routine treadmill session when he received a career-altering FaceTime call from his manager. The number 7 ranked UFC lightweight contender knew what the call would be about before he even answered. UFC needed somebody to replace Islam Makhachev against Rafael dos Anjos on just 5 days' notice, and the promotion had targeted him as a suitable candidate. Accepting a short notice fight against Dos Anjos, the former lightweight champion, would require some serious consideration under ordinary circumstances, but for Felder, the decision was particularly complicated. The Philadelphia native, who now moonlights as a UFC commentator and an actor, had been considering retirement for some time and wasn't sure he wanted to fight again at all, let alone fight Dos Anjos with less than a week to prepare. Quote, I was probably closer to out than back in, Felder told Bleacher Report on Thursday, saying he was leaning towards retirement before the offer to fight Dos Anjos came in. It was just a very frustrating time in the division. I didn't feel like I was getting talked about the way I should have been. I was just kind of upset and frustrated and almost ready to move on. After a long shower and some careful consideration with his coaches and nutritionists, however, Felder decided to accept USC's offer. When I got the call, it felt the stars were aligning in a very strange way, he said. It felt like if I turned it down, it would very much be one of those things where I'd be like, what if I had taken that fight? What could have happened? And if it doesn't go my way, I have no regrets. I took it, I lived dangerously, and I went for it. See, I like that. That's pretty cool. Felder's last fight, it seemed like he was throwing in the gloves and seemed like he was retiring. And, but it's in that lightweight division, so that division is just stacked. And with who knows what's happening with Khabib, because from the night that Khabib beat Justin Gaethje, he said he was retiring, but now it sounds like he might not be retiring. So that I don't think the belt has been stripped or vacated or anything like that. So who knows what's going on with the lightweight division. 155, not light heavy. That's 205. The lightweight division, the 155 division is just stacked, man. It is just filled with just killers, man. It really is. So I can understand why he would be frustrated and feel like he's not getting talked about the way he feels he should be talked about. But it's just because there are so many killers in that division, and it is just stacked. But it's cool that he's taken the fight. Should be a good one. It's hard to say. It rarely goes well for the person taking a fight on short notice, but it can. I think it's happened in the past where people have taken fights on short notice and actually have, lived up to it and kind of taken that opportunity and running with it, Once he had accepted this short notice showdown, which will be contested over 5 rounds at 155, Felder dove headfirst into the chaotic vortex that is a condensed fight camp. The next day I packed everything up, did an hour-long stationary bike ride in my garage, then flew out, he said. Now in Las Vegas, and some 36 hours out from his fight with Dos Anjos, Felder is under no illusion about the difficulty of the task at hand. He believes that Dos Anjos, contrary to his recent losses to Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards, and Michael Chiesa, is still as lethal as ever. He's dangerous, Felder said, sizing up his foe. I've always had a ton of respect for him. I was in the front row when he knocked out my really close friend and teammate at the time, Donald Cerrone. I know how ferocious he can be. I don't judge anybody in the UFC because they've had a few losses. When you're fighting the best guys in the world, that's going to happen. That doesn't mean you're not one of the best in the world. I like that attitude, too, because it's like, you can't downplay these guys, man. Everybody in the UFC, for the most part, you know, deserves to be there, and they are there for a reason. And, you know, even if, yeah, like he just said, if you're fighting the best, somebody has to lose, you know. So, you know, that's I like that. I like that attitude from him. Despite the praise Felder has for Dos Anjos and the short time he has had to prepare for the matchup, he's optimistic that he'll find a way to come out on top Saturday. If he's able to do so, he believes the rewards could be plentiful. Felder has long desired fights with the best lightweights in the world, but he has found them elusive. He believes that a win over Dos Anjos could propel him into those marquee matchups, particularly with the division's resigning champion Khabib Nurmagomedov ostensibly retiring. We've got to see what happens with our champion, Khabib, Felder said, sharing his thoughts on what a win over Dos Anjos could do for his career. If Khabib is out, then I think there's a much more realistic path for me to getting that title shot with all these strikers in front of me. If I can get guys like Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson, Dustin Poirier, or even Conor McGregor, these are all guys that are strikers, and that gives me much more of a chance to showcase my skills and get through those top guys. With a win over Dos Anjos, the door is open to the top 5 and potentially a title shot. While Felder speaks with great enthusiasm about what a win over Dos Anjos could do for his career, the reality is that he's also still considering retirement. In fact, he may decide to hang it up the gloves even if he's victorious this Saturday. I'm getting older, he said. This is a sport where you've got it until you don't, and that happens overnight. You might be like, I still got it, and then the switch can be flipped so fast, and before you know it, you're in fights where you don't need to be taking damage you're taking. Guys will go back and back and back and get knocked out, and ultimately that's what really damages you. I don't want to get to that point where I pushed it too far. I want to go out still looking good, even if it's off losses. I want to go out looking strong and on my own terms. Suffice it to say that Felder is no more certain of his fighting future than he was in the moments before his manager's phone call interrupted his treadmill session earlier this week. He can't promise more fights, and he can't promise his retirement, but he does feel confident that this next fight will be a fun one. There will be blood, probably mine, he said with a laugh. I can't tell you where my head will be at all. I can't tell you where my head will be at after till Saturday night. If it goes really well and I feel fresh, maybe I make some call-outs. If it doesn't, maybe we see what's next. I like the attitude, man. I really do. I like the attitude of it. All right, so that's this Saturday from my understanding, if I'm not mistaken on that. I think that should be a good one. Let's get into this article. This is so now we're switching gears. We're talking about some Trump stuff and lawsuits and conspiracy theories, as they like to call it. I like to call them facts, but what do I know? I just see what's going on in front of my own eyes, you know? That's what I do. That's what I see. I can see the shady stuff going on, especially on election day and the day after and stuff. It's been ridiculous, and more stuff just keeps coming out. More and more stuff just is constantly released, and more lawsuits and all that stuff. So let's get into this. This is from Politico.com. Trump's crazy and confoundingly successful conspiracy theory. In fundraising emails and text messages, as well as social media strafes in the morning and in the evenings and throughout the wee hours, President Trump is peddling a vague, vast conspiracy of illegal votes and illegal ballots and blatant voter fraud in states from the Northeast to the Southwest. The tweets just keep coming in. We will win. He will not, because no such fraud exists, according to the diligent debunking of reporters, weary fact checkers, Democrats, and a slowly increasing number of Republicans too. No fraud, read the headlines at the top of the front of Wednesday's New York Times. On Thursday, in the Wall Street Journal, none other than GOP lion Karl Rove said there's no evidence of the level of malfeasance Trump is not only alleging but requires to reverse the results of the election. All of this is necessary, norm adhering, and invaluable pushback, and also misses perhaps the most crucial point. The shocking lack of specifics, which Trump's critics mock as laughably unserious for something so consequential, is not deficiency. It is the feature of his strategy. Trump is not making a narrow, surgical, legally feasible case to enhance his chances to still be living in the White House come January 21st. That's improbable. He's not doing this either to win the argument. It's almost mathematically impossible. He's doing it, say, political strategists, longtime Trump watchers, and experts on authoritarian tactics to sow doubt, save face, and strengthen even and defeat his lifeblood of a bond with his political base. And it's working. 7 in 10 Republicans, according to a Politico Morning Consult poll earlier this week, believe the election was stolen from their candidate. It is overall for Trump both a culmination and continuation, a grand finale of sorts of the past 5+ years in which he's relied so much on much unreality, and also a runaway, a kind of top spin toward what's to come once he leaves Washington, D.C. and presumably decamps to Mar-a-Lago to initiate a post-presidency that is all but assured to be unlike any other. The stakes are sky high, and the collateral damage to America's democracy could be lasting and profound, but Trump is doing what Trump has always done. He's spinning a myth to serve his own interests. He's doing what he believes he needs to do to put at least himself in the best possible position for the future after yet another failure. This isn't about winning the presidency, former Trump publicist Alan Marcus told me this week. It's his exit strategy. It's not about the vote counting, said Rory Cooper, Republican strategist and former advisor to Eric Cantor when he was the House Majority Leader. His entire persona is built on the idea of winning despite his decades of not winning. He's constantly creating a legend, frankly, about himself rather than a truthful narrative. So I'm not surprised that he's going to use this to convince his supporters that the election was unfair and that he remains the leader of the Republican opposition. He added, he's going to have to take care of financial issues once he's out of office, and he's going to make a lot of money. He's going to make a lot of money on books. He's going to make a lot of money on speeches. He's going to be able to hold rallies and charge for them. Putting everything from the Southern District of New York aside and what could happen to him in Manhattan, just on the sheer financial side of it, the martyring of Trump, martyring himself, is good for business. Cooper said it's imperative for Trump to keep active with the potential for another run in 2024. Whether he wants to do that or not, the idea that he could do it needs to remain alive from a profitability standpoint. If you hold out the possibility, it guarantees that he just kind of remains relevant, remains in the spotlight, remains a source of chaos, disorder, and division, which is what he seems to thrive on, said Lawrence Douglas, an Amherst College professor of law, jurisprudence, and social thought, who wrote a book that was published back in May, Will He Go? He's not losing, Marcus said. He's winning. I honestly don't think it could be working out any better for him, Cooper said. Trump, after all, started preparing for what he was going to do if he lost this election before the last election, and he simply could not be doing what he's doing at this stage if he hadn't been doing it for this long. He's able to do this now, said Ruth Ben Gate, a historian of authoritarians, fascism, and propaganda, who has a new book out this week titled Strongmen, because of all that he's already set up. It goes way back. Donald is a believer in the big lie theory, one of Trump's lawyers told Marie Brenner for a story in Vanity Fair 30 years ago this fall. If you say something again and again, people will believe you. Trump is an expert liar. The foundation of his existence is lies. He's not self-made. He's not a good businessman, manager, or boss. He's an insider instead of an outsider. He's not been somehow singularly a victim, but rather spectacularly privileged and lucky. He is not who he says he is, former Trump casino executive Jack O'Donnell told me this past August. He is, Trump biographer Michael D'Antoni said, a walking lie. And it just goes on and on. I think that's interesting stuff. It just sounds like opinions to me, but instead of facts, and we'll take a look at actually some of the facts going on now. This is one thing. This is an interesting thing. Okay. This is from Breitbart. I don't really know too much about Breitbart, and yeah, I don't know much about a lot of these websites or news outlets or anything like that. I just go to my news app and kind of pick and choose a few different things based on the headlines and stuff, and just go over it that way. So this says, under pressure, Trump lawyer quits in Pennsylvania. Lawyers for President Donald Trump from the Porter Wright firm have withdrawn as of Friday from representing him in challenges to election results, Pennsylvania. Though the lawyer's legal filings claims that the withdrawal is in the best interest of the plaintiffs, the New York Times reported Friday morning that the firm suffered internal tensions over its work for Trump, partly as a result of pressure from the Times' own coverage. The firm's withdrawal followed an article in the New York Times on Monday described internal tensions at the firm about its work for Mr. Trump's campaign in Pennsylvania. Some employees said that they were concerned that the firm was being used to undercut the integrity of the electoral process. One Porter Wright lawyer resigned in protest over the summer. On Wednesday, Porter Wright issued a statement noting its long history of election law work, during which we have represented Democratic, Republican, and independent campaigns and issues. At times, this calls for us to take on controversial cases. The statement said, we expect criticism in such instances, and we affirm the right of all individuals to express concern and disagreement. The Times reported Monday that lawyers at the firm have held internal meetings to voice similar concerns about their firm's election-related work for Mr. Trump and the Republican Party. According to people at the firm, at least one lawyer quit in protest. Trump's opponents have been attempting to pressure his attorneys with some targeting his lawyers from the Jones Day firm earlier this week. The president has said that he will leave office if he loses the election, but he also believes he has won and wants the courts to decide. Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm at. It's like, it seems like there's a lot of shady stuff going on, and we'll get into more of the facts here in just a second. But if it goes to court and it goes through that whole process and Biden is the winner, then so be it. We move on, we move forward. But it does seem like a lot of votes were cast that shouldn't have been accepted. And yeah, there needs to be recounts. There needs to be observers from both sides eligible to be watching. And yeah, we just need the process to be done right. And it just doesn't seem like it was done right initially in a handful of these states. And the media likes to say there's no widespread voter fraud. I don't think that's what a lot of people are saying. If you listen to, independent media or conservative media or anything like that, they're not claiming widespread. They're not saying it was across the board. They're kind of just saying it was targeted in a handful of key states to manipulate and change, flip some of these states, And it's interesting because I was watching American Horror Story last night, and Cult, that's that season, and they were talking about these same states, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia. I think those 3 states were mentioned in that episode that I was watching. I was like, man. So I guess there's like history of these handful of states, being the key deciding factors of the election. So I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. But let's get into more of this right here. So this is from the Daily Mail. Kayleigh McEnany reveals more affidavits will be released as she doubles down on election fraud, claiming votes for Trump were changed and 120-year-olds voted. Exactly, man. This is crazy stuff going on. All right, let's get into it. Got about 15-20 minutes left. Got a couple articles to get through too. White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany doubled down on claims of voter fraud in Michigan on Wednesday night as she quoted from 234 pages of affidavits she first revealed Tuesday, despite no actual fraud being described in them. McEnany appeared on Hannity on Fox News for the second night in a row as she alleged that one of the testimonials claims to have seen ballots that were cast for President Trump being switched to Joe Biden. She also alleged that there was evidence of racial abuse towards black Trump supporters in precinct in Wayne County, Michigan, where Detroit is located, as well as an Asian American man receiving 5 minutes of abuse. The press secretary added that the Trump campaign will present more affidavits from other states Thursday, including some from Pennsylvania and others from different parts of Michigan, where she claims that 120-year-old voters cast a ballot. The claims have not been verified, and the Elections Security Agency at the Department of Homeland Security has already described the 120-year-old voters as a clerical error prompted by a computer system needing a placeholder date of birth. So let me just say this. If they don't get the right birth date, or if it's smudged or they can't read it, shouldn't that ballot not be accepted? Like, why are they just putting a birth date in place? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, shouldn't that not be valid? But they're just accepting it? Like, that doesn't make any sense. McEnany appeared to be speaking in a personal capacity and not as a White House press secretary. The attorney, a Harvard Law graduate who had got in on a transfer, is forbidden under the Hatch Act from political work while on the government payroll. During her appearance, she did not mention other sworn statements from the affidavits, including a man who said that the military ballots for Biden were suspicious because he thought the military were conservative, a woman who thought that President Trump had ordered the count to be stopped, and one who said that vehicles without a state license plates delivered people who were brought in by the DNC to control the ballot counting activities. The affidavits consist of 234 pages of evidence released by the Trump campaign and submitted to the federal court in Michigan. They were first brandished by McEnany on Fox News on Tuesday, then filed in full Wednesday. It is a central plank in her boss Trump's attempt to overturn the results of the election in Michigan, where he is 148,645 votes behind. One of the things that stood out to me today was a pattern and practice in harassment against poll workers, McEnany said of the pages on Wednesday night. Of course, you're legally obligated to send a Republican poll challenger to observe the vote, and what I read was entirely disturbing. One affidavit from a young woman who said she observed ballots from a wrong precinct be duplicated in the correct precinct, and then the old ballots sent back. When she began to ask questions, she was told to leave the room. She was called a bigot. She was called the C word as the poll watcher covered her name tag, McEnany claimed. She stated that another involved a woman who said that she had heard at 11:43 p.m. an election official say that tonight this is our house. She claimed that a minute later the same election official started using racial slurs against black Donald Trump supporters. McEnany said the woman claims she believes there were votes that were for Donald Trump but changed to vote for Biden. Finally, another instance of racial slurs used against an individual, McEnany continued. He was a man of Chinese descent, and he was literally told, "Why are you here? You're not American." When he said, "I am American," he proceeded to endure 5 minutes of racial and ethnic slurs. This is one precinct in one county in Wayne County, Michigan. Yeah. Okay, so then there's like more stuff, but that was it for that article that I wanted to get to. And I just wanted to say this. It's like there's 234 pages of these affidavits just in this Michigan county alone. And from my understanding, an affidavit is like being under oath and swearing under oath in a court of law. So you have 234 pages of people putting in their sworn testimonies of what they saw and what they think could potentially be fraud or harassment or whatever, something that could possibly change the outcome of the election. And this is only in one county, you know? So, and it sounds like they're going to be presenting more affidavits from other states and other counties as well. So that's interesting, man. It's like we have to take these serious, you know? You can't just discard them and disregard them at all. You have to follow up with them, especially if they're going into the court system, because if any of these are found out to be false claims, then those people who did the statements can be in real trouble, you know what I mean? Like, you can't lie under oath, and that's basically what an affidavit is you're swearing under oath, like you're in court. You're doing a statement that you are under oath, and you cannot lie in court. You cannot do that. There will be penalties if you are caught lying in court. But will there be? Because Jack Dorsey from Twitter lied under oath, saying that the New York Post, I believe, their article about Hunter Biden and the laptop and that whole story, that they lifted that ban of the article while he was in court, but people were listening to it and tried sending the article while the court hearing was taking place, and it was still blocked, still not being able to be sent. Still not being able to be sent out. So, will anything happen? He straight up lied under court, but I don't think anything's gonna happen. So that's a little frustrating, you know. But what should be done is should be getting in some sort of trouble, but just doesn't seem like that is going to happen. Oh man. All right. So I had I had two more articles, but I guess this one makes you sign in for a subscription, and that didn't happen earlier when I was looking this up, so that's a little frustrating. What was this one gonna be? Oh, I really wanted to get into this one too. What's happening with lawsuits, postal votes, and something else. Forgot exactly what it was. But let's just move on to the next. This is from the New York Post here. FBI's failures to protect patriotic whistleblowers then and now. Lynn Wood, the lawyer who represented the hero security guard falsely accused of the 1996 Atlanta Olympics bombing, says that case, quote, was the precursor of things to come. The Richard Jewell case was one of the FBI's most infamous miscarriages of justice with the despicable collusion of the media. And they just had that movie just a couple of years ago, Richard Jewell. That was a good movie too. It was really interesting, and you can definitely see the media and the FBI, the collusion, and yeah, it was ridiculous. It was pretty crazy. Not only was Jewell innocent, but he had saved hundreds of lives that night by spotting the bomb. The problem was that he was naive. He was a naive nobody, and the FBI was under pressure to solve a high-profile crime, so they leaked his name to the media and ruined his life. Wood, who currently is helping to prepare a lawsuit to declare the 2020 presidential election in Georgia unlawful and unconstitutional, says the forces which conspired to destroy Jewell are stronger than ever. He sees their work in the Russia collusion campaign waged by the media and the intelligence agencies against President Trump, and in the current gaslighting over election fraud. Straight up. What's happening today is very similar in that the media is abusing individuals' reputations to further its own agenda, Wood says. The agenda with Richard Jewell was to get the scoop. Now I think the agenda is to provide evidence to support propaganda. I called Wood because I had just watched the 4-hour security recorded interrogation of whistleblower postal worker Richard Hopkins by 2 federal agents who clearly were not interested in getting to the truth of his allegations of ballot fraud. Agent Russell Strasser from the USPS Office of the Inspector General was focused instead of convincing Hopkins to change the affidavit he had given to independent undercover news organization Project Veritas. Hopkins' affidavit dated last Friday was a bombshell, which is why it was cited by Senator Lindsey Graham, and when he called for the Justice Department and the FBI to launch an investigation. On Monday, Attorney General Bill Barr authorized federal prosecutors to examine any credible allegations of voting irregularities. So you can see the stakes were high and the pressure on this 32-year-old divorced postal worker, a Marine veteran, was immense. What Hopkins claimed in his sworn affidavit was that the postmaster in Erie, Pennsylvania, Rob Weissenbach, had instructed postal workers to segregate any mail ballots they received after Election Day, November 3rd, and hand them over to him rather than place them in a normal mail stream to be accurately postmarked in Pittsburgh. He found that suspicious. Further, Hopkins alleged that he overheard Weisenbach tell a supervisor that he was backdating the postmarks on those segregated late ballots to make it appear they had been collected on November 3rd, 2020, which would be a violation of Pennsylvania law, which requires that ballots cannot be counted unless they were mailed before 8 p.m. on Election Day. It didn't take long after the Project Veritas story for his colleagues to figure out it was him. Then the harassment began. He was placed on unpaid suspension by the USPS. He was harassed by a representative of the Postal Worker Union who began asking me about old allegations against me, which have long been resolved. In case he lost his job, he set up a GoFundMe account with the help of Project Veritas. GoFundMe froze the account. Oh my gosh. Then on Monday, he was interrogated by Strasser and agent Charles Klein for 4 hours, and they convinced him to amend his affidavit. Luckily for Hopkins, he recorded the whole conversation on his phone, and Project Veritas released the recording last night. Like Jewell, Hopkins is a patriot interested in policing. Like Jewell, he is obliging and trusting of authority. And like Jewell, he was abused by authorities he trusted. In the recording, Strasser begins with a series of oily compliments. This is why I already like you, says Strasser, because you're a Marine and you know what integrity is. You and I both served this country, and I know you love this country. He tells Hopkins, my goal is to protect you. I'm in your corner on this. I want to take care of you. Then he threatens him in the nice way over the GoFundMe account being treated as ill-gotten gains. I'm not scaring you, but I'm scaring you here. It can be argued that money was gained by deceptions. You could be held accountable. Over and over, Hopkins is asked to repeat verbatim the words he heard Weisenbach using. He's taken out onto the post office floor to reenact the moment, and Strasser makes him think he was too far away to really hear what he heard. Inch by inch, Strasser wears away at his memory until Hopkins obligingly agrees that he had made a logical assumption that the ballots were being backdated, but had not heard Weisenbach use the word backdated. Strasser tells him, I'm trying to twist you a little bit. Toward the end of the interrogation, as Strasser is dictating out loud the amendments to his affidavit, Hopkins realized the final product is not the full picture, and that his apprehension that something fishy was going on has been whitewashed from the document. Hopkins tries to get the agents to understand other suspicions he had about the ballots. The picking up of the ballots and turning them directly to the supervisor rather than putting them in the mail stream, that's kind of important, he says. Agent Charles Klein butts in. Those were your assumptions, right? Hopkins keeps trying. See, that's the thing about these ballots. It's the validity of us picking them up. It's so weird that we're picking up ballots after Election Day because at this point they are no longer valid. Wouldn't it be best to inform somebody that, hey, they're no longer valid? Or wouldn't it make sense to send it to Pittsburgh where it would be postmarked? I mean, they wanted it separated rather than being just thrown in the mail stream, which we were doing right before, a week before. That just didn't make sense to me. Hopkins was right, it didn't make sense. But the agents didn't seem to think any of it was suspicious. They had what they came for. The next day, Democrats on the House Oversight Committee tweeted that this whistleblower completely recanted his allegations. The Washington Post blared, postal worker recanted allegations of ballot tampering. Hopkins denies that he recanted his story. They were grilling the hell out of me. I feel like I got played, he told Project Veritas. I did not recant my statements. Like Richard Jewell, Hopkins is an American hero caught in something ugly. How it all will play out, only God knows, says Wood. That's very interesting stuff. And that's crazy, man. And we talked about that yesterday in the No World Order podcast, Instagram Live, that you have the mainstream media saying that this guy recanted his statements, but he's going on record saying, no, I did not recant my statements, and they were using tactics to try and manipulate me and try and plant false memories and I feel like they're trying to make this guy seem to be crazy or make him out to look like he's crazy or whatever. And interesting tactics, that's for sure. We shall see what happens, what goes on. There's a lot to all of this going on right now. And Donald Trump is still president, so keep that in mind. Don't listen to the media like that because Joe Biden is not the president right now. The Electoral College, that whole process has yet to be played out, and the votes for the Electoral College should be on December 14th, from my understanding. And who knows if that'll even happen. I know Trump and the legal team is trying to get some of those Electoral College votes frozen. So then it goes to the Supreme Court, which then he just appointed Amy Coney Barrett, and it would most likely go to Donald Trump for being president. Man, I really hope. It would be so awesome. Like, I didn't vote for Trump. Don't really like it. I don't like the two-party system. I don't think he's a terrible person. I don't listen to the mainstream media when it comes to Donald Trump. And, because I saw it early on. Like, I watched one of his first speeches. I was like, oh, this is a pretty good speech. I like what he's saying here. And then the mainstream, like later that day or the next day, I was listening to some news station on the mainstream, and they were just completely wrong about his speech. I was like, was that even the same speech? And they were showing video of it. I was like, doesn't make sense to me. But it would just be just complete justice if Trump ends up winning, and it makes the media just look stupid, dude. Like, we could not trust mainstream media ever again if they turn out to be wrong with this. You know what I mean? And I just think that would be great, because Trump has been calling them fake news for this entire time. And I saw it personally, like I said, from that first speech that I saw. And then the following day, the media just presenting fake stuff. And I was like, oh, man, they're just lying. Like, it's crazy. But I just think that would be great if it did end up switching and made the media look dumb. But they're just falling in line right now and just trying to paint a narrative, trying to push this propaganda. But just realize that Donald Trump is still president right now. Joe Biden is not. And the whole process of the election is not over yet. And like I was saying, it should be on December 14th when the Electoral College actually votes and submits their votes and finalizes it. And then we will find out. But there's a lot in a month. So it goes from now till December 14th. That is a month away. A little over, like a day over a month. A lot can happen. A lot is going to be happening. And I'm just going to be keeping an eye on it all, man. I will keep an eye on it all. But anyway, that was all I had for today. And ended up going pretty well. I should be back on Monday as long as nothing happens. I should be back on Monday. Be back on Tuesday with my mushroom story for Tuesday Morning Tokes. And then be back on Friday for another episode of the Real WerD podcast. And we should be getting back together for another episode of the No World Order podcast on Thursday. Again, go check that out at _the No World Order podcast on Instagram. Go give that a follow. And, yeah, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel too, man. Let's grow those subscribers. Got a lot of videos to go back and watch if you're new, if you want to check it all out, see the journey, see the progression. Go back and watch some of the earlier episodes. If not, just keep following along, and I appreciate it. Again, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great weekend. Have a good Friday the 13th. Stay safe out there. And until next time, everybody, peace.